Well, welcome. My name's Josh Wall. I'm the AGIIS Product Manager, and welcome to this webinar, the AGIIS, the building block for eConnectivity. Today, we'll be discussing an overview of AgGateway. We'll be talking about the Ag Industry Identification System. We'll be speaking about how it works, how to get started, and then at the end, we'll talk about support that you can receive and, maintenance activities that occur throughout the database. And throughout the presentation, we'll offer the opportunity for questions. So I know we have several people on the line today. One of the areas we want to start is, what is AgGateway? I'm sure several of you are familiar with the organization and are members of the organization, but it's a nonprofit collaborative membership association. It's really focused on helping producers, retailers, and their supply chain partners improve their productivity and profitability and sustainability in the industry. Really, their focus is to reduce the cost and frustration of managing and exchanging data. And we have a broad representation across the ag segment. So their mission is to promote, enable, and expand e-business in agriculture. Really focused on implementation. That first step is developing and adopting industry standards and guidelines, which many of you folks are probably familiar with. But that critical next step is implementation. And that's what that eConnectivity session was focused on at the annual conference. And several of AgGateway's activities are focused on implementing across the supply chain. But the foundation to e-business, really, I like to think it starts with the unique identifiers. They are the basic building blocks to enable that strong foundation you need as you get started, as you start that connection process, and as you create this structure and you head down this path of enabling e-business and creating the efficiencies you're all looking for. So the value of identification, we've asked our AgGateway members and AGIIS subscribers, what really is the value of identifying something and how has that provided back to your organization? And here's some of the things that, we've been told. Number one, it improves product position and visibility. It enables companies to identify, capture, and share information about products, businesses, locations, and more. Trading partners use the same identifiers for products and entities, and this ensures the accuracy of delivery, billing, and other e-business transactions. It enables automation of other business processes. It reduces costs. It mitigates risk of incorrect or errored compliance reporting, and it increases efficiency of field operations. So the unique identifiers that are housed in the Ag Industry Identification System are the Global Location Number, which we call the GLN. It's used to identify entities, which are businesses, consumers, and locations. They can be assigned by entity owners or by the Ag Industry Identification System themselves. There's also the G10, which is the Global Trade Item Number. It's used to identify products at the lowest saleable unit, and it's assigned by product owners and displayed in AGIIS. AgGateway works with GS1, which is a global standards organization, to provide these unique identifiers within the AGIIS system. So what is being identified with a GLN and a G10? Well, really, the GLN is the who and the where. So if you think back to some of the transactions that you have in your system, you know, where was the manufacturer or product, or who manufactured a product or supplied a service? Who sold a product or a service? Who purchased a product or a service? Where is that product or service being provided? You know, where is it applied? You know, where's the product being shipped? That's all identified with the global location number within a transaction. The what is the global trade item number. It's the actual product being identified by a G10 number. So AgGateway's uses of unique identifiers. We see it today in the supply chain with sales reporting, ship notices, delivery confirmations, inventory, and recommendations. In precision ag, it can be used in work orders, machine reference data, fixed equipment identification, regulatory compliance. You know, that comes with some compliance reporting and product movement. And really, it all fits into the whole traceability topic. So at this point, just kind of an introduction and an overview of AgGateway and of unique identifiers. Chris, do we have any questions on the line that we can answer for folks?
Yep, no, currently no questions, Josh. Thanks.
All right. Well, we're going to dive a little deeper here, and we're going to talk about AGIIS, the building block for eConnectivity, and we'll have another break for questions coming up. So the Ag Industry Identification System, which you'll hear me call AGIIS, is an interactive database that houses e-business data for agriculture. It provides unique identifiers and common data elements, such as, you know, on the GLN side, that could be addresses, it could be phone numbers, and associated demographics. It allows companies to sync and set the stage for e-business transactions. One thing that's good to point out when we do these sessions is AGIIS does not process transactions. There's no sales transactions within the database. It's a directory resource that facilitates electronic communication. So this next diagram below is really kind of a very simplistic diagram that kind of breaks out the database. Within AGIIS, you have products, you have entities, and you have a license component, a seed license component that allows license agreement owners to tie a license to an entity. An important distinction to point out about the AGIIS database is it is industry owned and it's managed. So the subscribers own the data that's in the database, and they also are the ones that provide the updates. So if an entity is bought out by another entity, some subscriber provides that information, and then it is disseminated across to all the other subscribers that are interested in that entity. Give you a quick snapshot. Today, we have approximately 5.3 million business consumers and locations within the directory. On the product side, we have about 169,000 products, and there's approximately 679 stewardship licenses in the database. There's 157 subscribers that use the AGIIS database for to facilitate e-commerce or e-business. So who can access this data? So in the middle, you have the database, and we have full subscribers, which can come into AGIIS, and they can search and view, add, and update the database. We also have a concept of search and view. These are folks that can come in, they can look up an identifier, they can provide some information around an entity and get that identifier back, but they do not have the capability to update or add to the database. All AgGateway members have a search and view subscription. So if you're on the call today, you're an AgGateway member, but you have never been out to AGIIS, you can contact member services, which I'll show you how to do that later, and you can actually get a login to have a search and view subscription as a part of your member benefit. We also have a non-subscriber lookup, and this is where we have some smaller ag retailers and some folks that haven't joined AgGateway yet, but they do have some interest of what unique identifiers may be. Maybe it's for reporting purposes. They can go out to the AGIIS website, and there is a portal that they can go out to with some limited functionality that allows them to look up products and look up entities to get back the unique identifier for that. All right, as we went through that section, I'm going to stop one more time and ask if there's any questions on the line.
Currently don't see any, Josh. And again, if you do have a question, just raise your hand and we'll unmute you so that you can speak. Thank you.
All right. So there will still be some more opportunities for questions, but we'll dive a little deeper here and we'll talk about how does it work. So as a broad look here, AGIIS the solution. It's made up at its core software and business logic. You know, this is that allows the system to process an address. To make sure we don't have duplicates, we use address matching and standardization. We standardize with the USPS, and there's also business rules to validate what is a unique entity. There's also required data elements on the product side that to put your products into the AGIIS database, there's certain fields that are required. There's also a communication layer. In the communication layer, it's very important, being a subscriber-owned database, that we're able to communicate out to subscribers, you know, the information that changes. So there's extracts, there's flat file formats, there's ways for folks to upload data to the database. There's web services available for folks to communicate back and forth. So if you want to be able to take AGIIS and link it to your own internal systems and be able to, when you're making a change in your core system and you want to communicate to AGIIS, you're able to do that. And that's really what leads to the accessibility. There's several places that you can get into AGIIS. You can go through the website. We also have batch processes, and there's also web services that allows you to communicate with the system. So let's take a look at entities in AGIIS. We talk about consumers. These are folks that are purchasing product. It may be in the seed industry that they're buying a bag of corn to plant on their farm. They are folks that are eligible for a unique identifier or a GLN, a global location number. It could also be in the turf and ornamental industry. It could be a golf course purchasing product as well. There's also businesses, and at a high level of business, you know, it could be an ag retail location, it could be a manufacturing location, it could be a distributor's warehouse. And then there's locations. You know, today, locations in AGIIS, it could primarily be a drop point in the fertilizer industry where they're dropping product. It could be a rail siding. It could be a barge terminal. So that's really what makes up the components on the entity side. So here's some basics. The definition of an entity is a separate and distinct individual business or location for which one or more unique industry identifiers have been assigned. So one example I will give you, let's look at the seed industry, is we have a farmer that is buying seed corn for his own farm. That is definitely would be eligible for a global location number. That farmer, maybe it is at his home address. But let's say this farmer also has a farm location where he has all his seed corn delivered, and it is a separate address from his home address. That is also eligible for a global location number as well, maybe for a delivery point. So as we take a look and we remember back to the stats we provided earlier, 5.3 million entities. And some of you might be saying, well, there's not that many farmers out there. Well, when you start to think about, all the farmers' locations, whether it is their farm or several farms or their home, or maybe their LLC purchases something and they purchase some things as an individual or some partnership, there becomes a lot of entities that are eligible for global location numbers. Entity records are added and maintained by the AGIIS user community. This can be done on the website, web services, and the bulk file processes that we spoke about. All AGIIS subscribers have access to view all entity records in the AGIIS directory using the AGIIS website or web service. Now, does this mean that you can just get a dump of everything? No, it does not. You have to know something about that entity to access it. But if you know something about it, you have the capability to look up that unique identifier. So I wanted to just provide some of the key data elements, and there's more data elements out there, but here's some of the key things. Obviously, it would be that unique identifier, the global location number, a company name, a doing business as name. In some cases, we see a company might be owned by a corporate name, but they do business as something else. So we give the opportunity to add that information in there. A physical address, a mailing address, phone number, a latitude, longitude. We do classify an entity as a business, a consumer, or a location. We have business status. This could be in business, out of business, bought out, replaced by. And then we have a verification status. We do offer verification services on entities as they're requested by subscribers. There is a small fee associated with that, but our member services team will make those calls. And we also have a second tier service where we will look the information up on the website, and there is a minimal cost for that as well.
Hey, Josh, this is Chris. We have a question that's typed in.
Okay.
Question was there ever any movement to designate the type of entity, like a delivery location, warehouse, retail location, and something like check all that applies, something like that?
So, Chris, go ahead and repeat that one more time.
Yep. So it says, was there ever any movement to designate the type of entity, such as a delivery location, a warehouse, retail location?
Yep, I got it now. And actually, there was. And previously in the ag industry identification system, there was more of a breakout of the type of entities they were. Like entity type is what it was called. And it actually broke it down by like a manufacturer, a distributor, or a retailer. The group, I would say it's been probably 7 years ago, decided to move away from that narrower classification to more of a broader classification. And one of the reasons around that was, today in today's supply chain, we see that people wear multiple hats. And the focus seemed to be really narrow at the entity type level. So as a whole, as a subscriber community, it was decided to assign more broader classifications, and that information was probably really known at who was requesting that entity, and it could mean something different for each subscriber. But that's a good question, and it has been something that was there in the past, and they moved to this broader classification. Hope that answers the question. Okay, anything else, Chris? I will take that as a no.
Sorry, I was on mute. Not right now, Josh. Thanks.
Okay. So let's talk about the entity process a little bit. And this is kind of a rough diagram, but I think it'll give you an idea of how an entity may move through the AGIIS system. So over on the left-hand side, we have subscriber A. And subscriber A puts in some input. It comes into the AGIIS system, whether that's through, a batch process, the website, or web services. There's business rules, there's verification and address standardization. It goes into the system as a whole, and you can see in the middle we have AGIIS entities. And each subscriber, if you're a full subscriber, you have the ability to create a subset. And these are entities that you may be interested in. If you're an ag retailer, it may be your customers you sell to. If you're a distributor, it may be retailers you sell to and locations you deliver to. But you have your own subset of entities. And as you can see at the bottom, there's subscriber A. He has his subset. Subscriber B has his subset. So as entities enter the system and as subscribers have entities in their subset, they receive extracts on a frequent basis as things change. So the thought process is they are able to keep their internal systems synchronized with their trading partners in AGIIS as they apply updates to their database. So a little more about subsets. An entity subset is established by a subscriber linking their internal identifier, you may call it a prop code, to an AGIIS entity record GLN identifier. So there is functionality within the system that allows you to take your internal prop code and apply it to the AGIIS system. This allows us to communicate back to you any information that changes with entities you're interested in. So we have a subset extract. So at any point in time, you can extract the information and you can receive a file of all the entities that are in your subset. We also, on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, will provide you an incremental extract of changes. Anything that changes within the system, we'll provide that out to you so you can use that information to stay in sync with the database. Creating an entity subset basically indicates that you have an interest in a specific entity record. I mean, this subset is privy to you and the administrators of the system. No one else throughout the system really can tell or know that you have an interest in that system. So it's all confidential. And there's agreements as you become subscribers that you sign that states that this information is confidential between you and the ag industry identification system. There is a rule: you can only update a record if it's in your subset. The thought process behind this is, you at least should be willing to put that entity in your subset if you have enough interest and you want to provide information back to the community. All right. So I wanted to just give you a snapshot of what an entity looks like in AGIIS and where you would update that entity into your subset. So you can see some of the entity information that's here. We also keep track the last time an entity was updated, the last time an entity was verified. You can see the grower's name. You can see a mailing address associated with this entity. You can also see the unique identifiers below, and you have the opportunity to add that entity to your subset as well. Okay, we're going to move on to products in AGIIS. Today within AGIIS, we have crop protection products, we have seed, we have crop nutrients, we have feed. So you can see the types of products that are there. A product, pretty simple here. It's something produced, marketed, or sold. Product records are added, maintained, and consumed. So you can see the different ways folks receive this information or can input this information. From the web interface, the web services, there's a bulk file format to add products, and then there's product extracts that consumers of this information can extract. And why would you want to do that? Well, if you're a distributor or a retailer selling a manufacturer's product, you may want to have the global location number so you can put that in eConnectivity transactions. AGIIS is set up as things change. You can set up extracts to receive changes or updates. You can customize the extracts. Let's say you're interested in just one company's products. You can say, yep, these are only the products I want to receive. These extracts can have a frequency of, daily, weekly, or monthly. You can receive the extract, and then you can take that extract, either review it on a manual basis, but ideally probably put that information into your system electronically. There is company product level security. This allows companies that are loading products into AGIIS to, say who they want to view that product. In some cases, if there's agency products or there's certain companies that they don't want to sell to, they can set that security at a company or product level. AgGateway's view, and as I had mentioned before, we do work with GS1 on the G10s, but our view is that G10 is a 14-digit number comprised of a package level code, a manufacturer's GS1 prefix, and this is the prefix that GS1 assigns to a company, a package size ID, a unique product number assigned by the product owner, and then there's a check digit. And we do have a check digit calculation within AGIIS to make sure it is correct before it is entered into the system. From a product standpoint, a GLN or a G10 is used to identify products at the lowest saleable unit. So that would be at the package configuration level. So this would be a bulk product. It could be a 2x2.5. It could be a pallet of products. So there's several G10s that could be assigned at the package configuration level for a single product. There is also the capability within the system for consumers to set up a product subset. And the benefit of this is so they can just receive those products that they're interested in. And they can do the same thing. They can establish a subscriber, establish a subset by linking a prop code. It may be that internal product identifier you have to a global trade item number within AGIIS. Once the subset is set up, you can receive extract files, on a regular basis. You can only receive changes and updates to products in your subset. So it's just another feature that some companies find beneficial. Wanted to give you just a few key data elements. There's many product data elements, but here's a few from a seed perspective. You would have a global trade item number. You could have a product category. Categories are beneficial when whittling down the products you want to look at. So for a seed product, it would be seed. You could have a product name. You could have a brand name. And, this may be the brand of the product, like a DeKalb or an Asgrow or an NK, whatever that might be, or Mycogen. You can have a crop. You can associate, soybeans, corn, wheat, barley, whatever it may be. A variety and hybrid, a maturity and zone, a seed size. There are 3 levels, really 4 levels within the product directory. It starts at a company, it goes to a product, you then have a package size, and then a package configuration. So there's a status at each level, whether it's active or inactive. And there's also units of measures at each level, and these are standard, units of measures that are associated and are accepted throughout the industry. So just to give you an idea from an AGIIS perspective of the product process, it's really a two-way street. You have AGIIS that sits in the middle. You have product owners that are loading and maintaining their information into AGIIS. And then you have product consumers that are setting up extracts to receive this information, to receive any changes and to get those unique identifiers so they can report it in the process, any eConnectivity processes they're associated with. Okay, as we went through that, are there any questions at this point about some of the data elements associated to entities and products and how those processes work within the system?
We don't have any hands raised right now, Josh.
Okay, great. So how to get started? Well, first of all, if you are not an AGIIS subscriber and you're on the call today, this would be the right place to go. You can go to the AgGateway website. We have a join us and then subscribe to AGIIS. As I had mentioned earlier, there is an AGIIS subscriber agreement and an enrollment form. The enrollment form gives us a little bit more information about what you're looking for. Are you looking to add entities? How many entities do you approximately want to add? How many products do you want to add? So it gives us some of that basic information. If you've never stepped into AGIIS and you aren't familiar with it, the first step would be really to establish an entity subset. You would match your existing entity lists against AGIIS. What I would probably recommend is set up a session with member services, and we would walk you through some of the best practices around loading entities into the AGIIS database. There's some things you can do before you actually submit your information to AGIIS that may make it beneficial, so we get better matching. We actually get the input information into the database that's valuable to the whole industry. And there's also multiple methods to establish a subset. But once you've established a subset, I definitely think the next step is to establish an entity update and synchronization process. I've kind of beat on this drum earlier, but AGIIS is a subscriber-owned database. And the benefit of a subscriber-owned database is staying synchronized and making sure you're receiving the updates the rest of the industry is making to the database. This will ensure you're synchronized. It will help reduce errors as you start connecting with trading partners. It'll make sure you're on the same page. And then I would recommend, if you're a manufacturer and you have products, that you load those products, the same that we find with distributors. If you have products that you sell and that you may manufacture, you can load those products. And then if you're a consumer of products, you would want to set up a product subset, or at least set up an extract so you can receive that information back. So anybody have any questions about how to get started or what the next step for them would be? Okay.
Josh, looks like we might have a few here. And
Okay.
Mike, let's see, 1 second here. They've been typed out for me. Okay, we have one that says, we're currently building automated solutions using your order create and order response XML forms. How would I go about requesting added fields such as product, density, etc.?
Boy, that's a good question. And I tell you what, the best for that one would be, let's take that one offline. Chris, if you could get maybe some contact information from them, and we will get them connected to the right AgGateway staff member to help them move forward with that.
I'll do it. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Looks like that's it for now, Josh.
Okay. So I want to talk about, we really went through some high-level descriptions. We've talked about how to get started, but I want to talk about some ongoing support, because when we're given webinars like this, we know there's folks on the line, you're sitting out there, you're saying, well, man, you didn't answer this question, or I wanted to go a little deeper in this area, so I want to provide you the right information and the right places you can go. So AgGateway and AGIIS offers a lot in terms of support here. There's an AgGateway newsletter. If you aren't signed up for that, you can go to the AgGateway website and get signed up. Each month, Chris and I, we put an article out there that pertains to AGIIS, different topics that might be going on, different events or activities that you may want to be aware of. So that's a good resource. The AgGateway website always has good information out there. They have a section on Get Connected, and it shows you and kind of explains all the eConnectivity resources, whether that's standards or guidelines or tools like AGIIS as well. We have particularly related to AGIIS, we have published some white papers out there. So if you're interested in certain topics, you know, duplicate prevention comes up as one of the things that we get questions about from time to time. You know, so we've put together a paper that walks through our process. Entity synchronization is a big topic for AGIIS subscribers. What's the best way to synchronize with my trading partners? What's some of the things that I should kind of be aware of or think about? So we've kind of broke that down. The same with product synchronization. And then we have a basic AGIIS fact sheet for folks getting started, maybe some things to consider or to think about. One of the things that I think is key here is, you know, this is a learning process. Can't cover everything in a 1-hour webinar, but training is important. We do offer new subscriber training, existing subscriber training on specific topics, whether that be how to load your products or how to stay synchronized, whatever that may be. We do web meetings like this. We also, when AgGateway has big projects, we have project support where it's important to pull in some information about AGIIS. We have tutorials on the AGIIS website. We have a general overview. We have specific tutorials that will walk you through how to add entities and products and just the general administration of the AGIIS website as well. One of the best resources, if you don't even know what questions you should be asking or you just got a broad range of thoughts, call member services, and we would be glad to walk you through that, help you organize some of your questions, and point you in the right direction. We offer an online duplicate training and certification. This educates our users on AGIIS business rules, informs users how to identify and report duplicates through the AGIIS website. So one of the other things that we do in AGIIS, and this is, you know, we're right in the heart of maintenance season. There is monthly maintenance that occurs, address standardization update files. We do Microsoft server updates and keep the hardware and software at its best. But we offer some quarterly maintenance activities that are specific to the data itself. That's with LACS, Locatable Address Conversion System, really updates any of the entities in the database with a rural route to a 911 address. And then we also apply the national change of address. And this is on rural route entities. Annually, we also do the LACS and NCOA, but we have some other maintenance activities that occur as well. One of those things is an address standardization review. We take all the entities in the database and we standardize it with the USPS. And then we'll do an annual deduplication, and we'll analyze that to make sure that we are in sync with the latest rules that we have in play. This year, our annual deduplication will occur in the February timeframe, and the rest of our annual maintenance activities will occur this weekend. It is important to know that there is continuous improvement processes around the ag industry identification system. It's always changing. So subscriber input is encouraged. There is a formal request process. We have a request form that's available on the AgGateway website for enhancements to the AGIIS system. We also have a directory oversight committee within AgGateway that oversees the directory. And this would be everything from enhancements to the system to business rules associated. So this group is represented from every council within AgGateway. They meet twice a month and they discuss the business of AGIIS. So as we get towards the end of this webinar, I will always want to point out some of the benefits folks have recognized with having AGIIS within the agricultural industry for 10 plus years. One of the things is using unique identifiers along with AgGateway standardized message formats results in reduced manual data entry. If fewer data errors, minimizes duplication of effort, less time spent communicating by phone, fax, and email. Better communications between systems, reduce notifications and response times. Participants who have required reporting across segments, the ability to use a single identifier for all trading partners is a significant savings in system resources. So folks, this is the end of the webinar today. I will take one last opportunity for questions. I appreciate you spending some time with us. Chris, any questions we have at this point?
We don't have any questions just right now. I'm going to go through and unmute everybody. If you could
Yes.
yourself so that just to eliminate any background noise, but as I do this, feel free to ask your question here out loud.
I will remind everyone that this will be recorded. We will post it on the AgGateway website. And I wish everybody a happy holidays. Any other questions?
I'm not seeing any hands raised at the moment, Josh, and everybody is currently unmuted.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to member services. We would be glad to visit with you. Thanks.